Last season, the San Antonio Spurs completed one of the most impressive turnarounds in recent NBA history. After years of rebuilding, they exploded for 62 wins, returned to playoffs, and dominated their way through the Western Conference. They eliminated Portland, Minnesota, and even the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder before reaching the NBA Finals. But when the lights were brightest, the biggest weakness they had been trying to hide all year finally appeared. The moment Victor Wembanyama left the court, everything changed. With Wembanyama on the floor, San Antonio had one of the most intimidating defenses in basketball, capable of slowing down almost any opponent. But without him protecting the paint and controlling the game, the entire system started to collapse. The Knicks exposed that weakness throughout the finals, attacking every stretch when Wembanyama was on the bench and turning his absence into a major advantage. That loss became the biggest lesson of San Antonio's season. Entering the 2026 NBA draft, the Spurs had one clear mission: build a roster strong enough to survive the minutes when their superstar wasn't on the floor. And by the time draft night ended, San Antonio had added 4 new players, but 2 of them could become the pieces that completely changed the future of this franchise.
We're excited tonight to get a couple guys that we think can really help our team now and also into the future. As you can see, we had a type. We added a couple of big bodies, physical, athletic, different profiles, a little bit, one being younger with, a huge upside, and obviously one being, a little bit older, we've seen develop. We also think with really good upside. So we're excited to add both young men to the program and continue to build.
But the draft might only be the beginning. Around the league, there is already speculation that San Antonio could make major changes to its starting backcourt, while adding a veteran forward could finally complete the roster around Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs also brought in a new assistant coach with more experience to join Mitch Johnson's staff, adding another layer of knowledge to a team that is quickly moving from rebuilding into championship contention. If everything falls into place, this could be a completely different Spurs team when next season begins. And so just how much has this offseason changed the future of San Antonio basketball? What the Spurs accomplished last season was remarkable. But the NBA Finals exposed the one weakness that nobody had truly been able to exploit before: their lack of depth, especially in the front court. San Antonio built one of the league's most dominant defenses around Wembanyama. He was the anchor, the rim protector, and the player who allowed everything else to function. But whenever he left the floor, the entire defensive identity started to collapse. Mitch Johnson was forced to rely on his superstar for massive minutes. And as the series continued, that workload started to show. By the fourth quarter, Wembanyama often looked exhausted. Even when he stayed on the court, the Knicks found ways to pull him away from the basket, creating driving lanes and easy scoring opportunities. The finals revealed a problem the Spurs could no longer ignore. They needed more size. They needed more athleticism. And most importantly, they needed another defensive presence who could protect the rim when Wembanyama needed a break. That brought the focus directly to the 2026 NBA draft. San Antonio entered the night with one clear priority: strengthen the front court and make sure the same weakness couldn't decide another championship series. By the end of the draft, they had addressed that need in a major way. Using the 20th pick and acquiring Denver's 26th selection, the Spurs added 2 defense-first centers who completely changed their rotation. And while it's rare for a team coming off a finals appearance to find a player with legitimate star potential outside the lottery, San Antonio may have done exactly that at pick number 20. Jaden Quanin slipped out of the top 14, but many scouts viewed him as one of the most talented prospects in the entire class. His combination of defensive instincts, athleticism, and upside gives the Spurs another young piece who could eventually become a key part of the roster built around Wembanyama.
What's good, Spurs Nation? My name is Jaden Quaintance. I just got out to San Antonio, and I'm excited to work with y'all. Go Spurs, go.
At just 18 years old, Jaden Quanin already has a physical profile that makes scouts dream. He stands 6'10", weighs 253 pounds, and owns a ridiculous 9'1" standing reach. But the biggest reason San Antonio was willing to gamble on him wasn't his size. It was his defensive potential. As a freshman, Quanin's averaged 2.6 blocks and 1.1 steals per game while posting an incredible 9.8% block rate. For comparison, Victor Wembanyama recorded a 9.4% block rate in his rookie NBA season. That doesn't mean Quantins is destined to become the next Wembanyama, but it shows just how disruptive his defensive instincts can be. He has the mobility to switch on to smaller players, the awareness to rotate as a help defender, and the athleticism to erase shots at the rim. Whether he's stepping out in pick-and-roll coverage, recovering from the weak side, or protecting the paint, his defensive fit next to Wembanyama is extremely intriguing. For San Antonio, the biggest need was obvious. Find someone who could absorb minutes behind Wembanyama, while also giving the team flexibility to play bigger lineups. Quantins has the tools to eventually become that player. He's also a strong rebounder, especially on the offensive glass, where he averaged 3 offensive rebounds per game by using his length, timing, and relentless effort. The offensive side of his game, however, remains a major project. Quantins isn't currently a player who creates his own offense, shooting just 18% from 3 and 47.9% from the free throw line during his freshman season. The mechanics aren't necessarily broken, but the consistency isn't there yet. Fortunately for him, that's not what the Spurs will need immediately. With De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Wembanyama, and eventually other young scorers handling the offensive workload, Quantins' job will be simple: defend, rebound, protect the rim, and bring energy. Those are the areas where he already has NBA-level potential. So, why was a player with this much upside still available at pick number 20? The answer is health. In February 2025, Quantins suffered a torn ACL and meniscus injury that ended his season. Although he eventually returned, his comeback was difficult. He played only 4 games during his sophomore season at Kentucky, leaving teams with major questions about his recovery and long-term durability. That's why a prospect many viewed as a potential top 10 talent slipped, allowing the Spurs to take the gamble. For San Antonio, this wasn't a move designed to change next season. It was a long-term investment in upside. The biggest challenge now is simply getting him healthy. Quantins has already indicated he may need another knee procedure with a recovery timeline of around 6 months, meaning there's a real possibility he won't make a major impact until the 2026-27 season. And that's exactly why the Spurs weren't finished. They needed someone who could help immediately while Quantins recovered. So they moved up to the 26th pick and selected Tuss Reed, a completely different type of centered AT 6'11", 263 pounds, with a 9'2" standing reach. Reed brings the size, strength, and physicality San Antonio lacked during the finals. While Quantins represents the future, Reed can contribute right away. His final season at UConn showed why the Spurs valued him. As a key part of the team that reached the national championship game, Reed averaged 14.7 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game against some of the toughest competition in college basketball. The Spurs didn't just draft for potential. They drafted for a solution. Quantins could become the long-term defensive partner behind Wembanyama, while Reed gives them the immediate front-court toughness they needed after the finals exposed their biggest weakness.